for listening. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the House of Auger Show. My name is JT Auger. I'm the man of the house and your host. And with me tonight are our co-hosts, Joel and Nicole, John McIntyre, and hopefully Sativa will join us, Amanda will join us, and perhaps even Adam LaHood. This will be our NPR episode where we all will talk very silently like we're in some hippie commie bullshit meditation session. And we're going to do that for the next 2 or 3 hours. I hope that it doesn't bother you or cause you to fall asleep. In fact, I hope that you're able to stay awake the entire time because this is going to be so much fun talking like this the entire time.
Oh my God.
Have you ever listened to NPR? They all fucking do that.
Yeah, they do.
It's so irritating. Every show, they're like, hello and welcome to another episode. It's like every hour, like with each new show, it's like, yeah, it's a different person, but they all talk like this. And
it's the classic.
So weird.
Wasn't there a classic SNL skit? Wasn't that was it like Sweaty Balls? Was that the...
Oh, they talk like that. Yes. Or was it Sweaty? Yeah,
Sweaty Balls, back when Alec Baldwin was funny.
Yeah.
I think they think it makes them sound more intelligent.
Oh, Mac likes me to say, okay, so this episode is the Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. I think that's what Mac wants. You want that?
Yeah, he does.
Show, right? Okay. So,
and also, the file names now have the date in them, too, so rather than having people. So.
Outstanding. I request Nicole Geffort's Angel Tunes to welcome me when I do.
I have an angelic voice, apparently.
Right?
You know what? You would have to in order to get away with some of the shit you've pulled that I've heard stories of. Like, it's the only way.
Yeah, I can be a real cunt.
You gotta be pretty, have a nice...
No argument there.
Have a nice ass and an angelic voice. And then you can get away with like feeding people cat litter and shit like that. Psycho.
Mad pussy skills too. So.
Jesus.
Wow.
God.
You know you're on the House of Auger show when you start talking like that. All right. So this is our inaugural. No. Wait. State of the Union episode because tonight. As we speak, Trump is doing his State of the Union, which I will not be watching. Not just because of the show. Like, I'm not going to watch. I don't know if you guys do, but I always watch highlights. Like, I don't watch the whole thing through. Because it's usually like, what is it, like 45 minutes, an hour long?
Yeah, and I'll hear clips like later on news radio. That's all I need to hear.
I wait for somebody to put up a YouTube video of like 15 minutes of highlights. Like here's the important shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to hear the rest of the 45 minutes. But I am kind of interested because of all the hoopla about, with Pelosi trying to say you can't have it, and the back and the forth there, and all of that. I mean, he's doing it in the where it's normally taking place, right? On the Hill.
Joel, do you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's doing it in the House of Representatives.
Okay.
Yeah, because she was like disinviting him for a while there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was because of the shutdown.
Right,
yeah,
and then
the doors were going to be locked.
Right, he was going to do it during the shutdown, and she said, "No, you're not."
So his whole point for doing the 3 weeks because they said we're willing to negotiate if you bring the government back online, and essentially he did that, and now Pelosi has come out and said there will be no deal that includes money for the wall, which is his whole point. So what we're looking at then is probably after the 3 weeks, we're going to go back to a shutdown.
Right.
Did I?
No, you're right.
It's joking. Unless he just decides, fuck it, I'll use my emergency powers and then gets the money that way, right?
Yeah, but I think the Democrats would just hold off on opening the government back up as a, oh, why'd you do that kind of thing. Like they would hold a grudge and keep the government just shut down. If the government shuts down and uses emergency powers, I would see the Democrats holding a grudge and not reopening the government to try to push blame on him somehow.
But if he decides to use his emergency powers, he doesn't need to shut the government down again, right?
Right, but the government's going to shut down in like 2 more weeks anyway.
But if he decides I'm going to use my emergency powers, then he doesn't need to shut the government back down. He can make this temporary 3-week reprieve permanent. Go, fine, leave the government on. I'll just use the emergency powers, and then we're all happy. Right? Wouldn't that be the thing to do?
Somebody can correct me, but I think Congress still needs to pass something to say, we're funding the government again.
Oh, so you're saying they might hold the country hostage? Like if his emergency powers, they might go, well, fine, then we're just going to punish you by shutting the government down again.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, it's leftist politician logic. It doesn't. Yeah. Making sense isn't part of the deal.
Right. Speaking of which, not making sense, which brings us to one of the listed topics. How about this bullshit with the Senate rebuking Trump's decision to pull out troops from Syria? How fucking insane is it? This, and I get the whole "we don't like you" Trump thing. Like, I get that. But you're the party that's supposed to be anti-war. Like, as far back as I can remember, since I've been alive, the liberals have been like, we shouldn't be at war. Stop all wars. Pull all our troops back from everywhere. And of course, that just never happened. So for decades now, that's just been lip service. And the minute somebody decides to give it to them, like, okay, so you guys have been talking about this for decades, how you want to stop wars and pull troops. I'll do that. I'm going to do that. And, their response to that is, well, hang on a second. We didn't really mean that. We were just kidding. We don't think you should do that. But you've been saying that for 40 plus years. Yeah. Don't hold us to what we say. That's ridiculous. What the fuck?
Right.
I'm so frustrated by this. And Joel tagged me on an article that kind of went over this from FEE. What's that stand for again, Joel?
Foundation for Economic Education.
Right. Which I'm going to have to find that with this account too, because I think it was on the other account.
Yeah, it was.
But it was a great article that kind of basically went over how it doesn't matter. Whatever one party decides to say or do, the other party has to automatically oppose it just to keep that party alive, because if the party agrees, like essentially the article posited that the two-party system, in order for that to sustain itself, you have to have opposition. So if Trump said we need to pull out of Syria, had the Democrats decided to say we agree with that, yes, we go along with that, then it puts into question, why do you even exist? Why do you need to exist if you're saying yes to what the other party's saying? There's really only one party now, which I kind of get, like the whole tribalism, I guess.
Right. That's what it was. That's what it was titled. I think was political tribalism.
Right. But I'm frustrated with that only because that should only happen if if it's consistent. Like on one issue, I don't see a problem with that. Like, why can't that's partisanship, isn't it? Like, okay, you might disagree on several other issues, but you find one common ground. Like, okay, we want to do this. Oh, we've been wanting to do that. Okay, let's agree on that one thing. I don't understand why that can't happen. Why there has to be opposition on every single issue? Really? That just seems very stupid. But then, what the hell do I know? I mean, does anybody have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sick, y'all, so I'm not as.
No, it's certainly gotten worse over the last few decades. It used to be where there was, significant, and this has happened as the parties have grown further. The Republicans slightly further to the right, and the left, Democrats much further to the left. There used to be a lot more overlap in the center between the two,
yes.
And so you could.
So
that's why when I was a kid and first voting when I was 18, it was actually a question for me about, well, should I vote Democrat or should I vote Republican? It's at this point I vote independent or Republican. But there's just no question that I can't ever vote Democrat because they're so far to the left. Even in rural Texas, they're so far to the left that I have almost nothing in common with them, and not enough anyway.
Yeah.
And they are doing their every year, especially in the last since Trump's gotten involved with things, they are pushing themselves further and further away from anyone who is center or right, and emphasizing all the differences and making sure to never say that they agree with somebody. And it's a situation like this when the anti-war left should be like, yay, they're doing shit like that tweet that I just that Mac had posted, that I just posted in the group chat. Prematurely leave after 17 years, the longest war in the country's history, and we're prematurely leaving.
It's things like that make you wonder, are you reviewing what you send before you hit the send button? Because you really should.
Right?
It will prevent you from saying stupid things like that. Prematurely after 17 years. How did that...
fat finger a lot when I type, and it bugs me. I can't go back and edit tweets, but then you get stuff like that and it's just saved forever. So it's definitely one of the positives about Twitter.
There's been a couple of times where I've deleted a tweet because I spelled a word incorrectly. Not because I did something stupid like that. Like, what the fuck? Prematurely after 17 years. You can't be reckless.
He's also doing the sunk cost fallacy. We're saying, oh, well, thousands of Americans have died, so we got to keep more Americans there that potentially die to, honor the ones who did die. It's like, oh, okay, so you're just willing to throw away more lives for nothing, since if we can't get it done after 17 years, it's nothing's going to change.
It's that perpetual war mindset, which is supposed to be an old guard conservative Republican ideal, right? That was supposed to be old guard right wing.
Mm-hmm.
The Joint Chiefs of Staff and shit. They're the
neocons,
yeah, they want to keep us in perpetual endless war. To hear that coming out of the mouths of Democrats and liberals, to me, is such an indication that they don't have an actual position. Like they don't have any what's the word I'm looking for? Convictions. They don't have actual convictions because they're so willing to just switch on a dime, which to me, you're empty, you're hollow, you're a fucking empty pillowcase. And why would I vote for somebody who sways with the wind that easily? It just, I don't understand that.
It bums me out though, because I feel the very, very, very large majority of politicians are like that on either side. They don't have any real convictions or opinions. It's literally what will keep them in office is what they say they believe. And there are a few that I believe.
I agree with you on that.
But most of them aren't, and it's disgusting.
I agree with you. And you know what's funny is for as much as people dislike Trump, and there are times where he does shit where I think you're being stupid and I don't like you either.
Right.
I posted a link to an article that was talking about how they were asking supporters to send in like $1 and they'll add your name to a list of names that they'll scroll during the State of the Union.
Right.
And I'm like, you can't be serious. That is such a horrible. What are you doing? Like that is. There's no way. And I think the way they tried to justify it was by saying this will show the Democrats the solidarity and unity that we as a nation have. And I'm like, no, it's just a money grab. It's not even. I just don't see how you can justify it. It's just a shitty idea. It makes you look bad.
Right.
Somebody didn't think about the optics here. It's a bad idea. So I'm not. I'm not about my ability. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't remember, Nicole. You may remember. Was it in our group or was it on? The guy with the anime name. Kublai. Was that thing between him and that other guy? Was it in our group? Because they were talking about that. Group. Yeah, so they were talking about that in a comment thread, and the other guy, I forget which, Mark David or something like that. It's got like a assassin's name or something. Member. Yeah, new member. He's got like 3 name things. Sounds like an assassin. But he was saying that that people don't get it. The Republicans don't want Mexico to pay for the wall. They're just happy the wall gets built. And I'm like, no, actually, people who built it or who voted for him, or a lot of them anyway, were really fucking excited with the whole Mexico's going to pay for it thing, and that we weren't going to have to pay. And but it was a weird little thread between the two of them.
Here's my issue with that. Did anybody really believe? Who believed that? I didn't. From the first time I heard him say it, I was like, all right, it's a funny thing to hear you say, and that'd be cool. But really, like, at no point did I think that was a legitimate possibility. How the fuck are you going to get Mexico to pay for the goddamn wall?
I know.
That's not going to happen.
But people believed it, though. People are fucking dumb. Like, I remember back when Obama was running.
Yeah.
All the my dad's a dentist, and so all of his dental assistants and hygienists were really excited about voting for Obama because they truly 100% believed that they were going to get free gasoline for their cars if Obama became president.
Oh yeah, I remember watching little YouTube videos of like black people in lines at the Social Security office saying, "I can't wait to get my check in the mail from Obama and some gas." And like, who told you that? Who told you were going to get like all these perks just because a black man's in office? That's some craziness. Like, I don't know. People are dumb. A lot of people are dumb.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think, and anybody who thought Mexico's going to pay for the wall, that's just dumb. You're being dumb. Stop being dumb.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Oh, talking about the one thing that I've learned from Trump, the example I gave about this bullshit that he's, the $1 for the name scroll during the State of the Union is just one example of, I can acknowledge when he does stupid shit and shitty ideas, but he has good ideas. And the one thing to come out of this for me, Trump getting elected, is that an outsider is much preferred because he is not beholden to a career's worth of time as a politician, where he's tied into the system. He's got to worry about connections. He's got to worry about who he pisses off. Trump doesn't have any of that. He could give a fuck who's mad at him, who's not. Like he came in, he's there for 4 to 8 years, and then he's out. He doesn't have 20, 30, 40 plus years of time as a career politician where he owes a debt to this person and that person and that person and this person, and they'll bury him if he goes against them. Like all that Machiavellian bullshit. He's not tied into that, and that allowed him.
It was built the dossier on him.
The what?
Yeah. The dossier of dirty deeds he's done.
Yeah. Yeah, peeing on a mattress apparently, which is total bullshit, a hoax from Like it's ridiculous. That's the best that they could come up with, because they don't have 40 years worth of dirt on him, or even the dirt that they can come up with. It rubs off him like a fucking water on a duck's back. Like, you slept around with a porn star, whatever. Like, you call women bad names, it's just whatever. Like, it doesn't. I'm president already. I don't give a fuck, and like we don't give a fuck either. And so it doesn't. To me, I feel like that's a shining example of where outsiders can do more. Because without that being tied into that system, it allows him to make decisions that I think otherwise would not be able to make. Those people that he'd owe debts to normally would come in and say, no, you're not saying that, or you're not doing that. You're not going to propose that. You shut the fuck up and do what I say, or I'll bury you. And he's like, okay. Like, he doesn't have any of that. And so I really feel like this is a lesson for all of us to learn. Like, outsiders are a good idea.
That's
in my opinion.
To piggyback on that. That's why the Democrats are going so hard after the Starbucks former CEO, who's said that he is looking at a independent run for 20.
Honestly, the only people that I really hope that I'm not the only one seeing things that way, or, well, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I really hope that plenty, like a majority of American citizens are seeing the same thing. We're seeing things the same way, because we need to start voting against these career politicians. These are incumbents, essentially, and the minute you start voting for incumbents, that's the problem. That's where you get your problems from, in my opinion. So, when it's so funny to see all of these people coming out of the woodwork saying that they're going to run. This Kamala Harris is ridiculous. What is Cory Booker, Spartacus, another one that's ridiculous. Like,
he's funny.
There's no. I mean, I remember. What was it? It was the second term for Obama, that election, when you had a clown car's worth of candidate elects on the Republican side. Like, you had fucking like 21 guys on the goddamn stage at these debates. You had that one black dude who fucking, he came out of nowhere. He owned a goddamn pizza shop. He's putting out commercials where he's smoking a cigar and smiling and all creepy and shit. Like, it was just ridiculous. And I think what we're going to see is that same thing, but now it's on the Democrat side. We're going to see a bunch of we're going to see circus. It's going to be an absolute joke. And on one hand, that's great. That's going to be highly entertaining. But on the other hand, can you not get your shit together? Like, really? Seriously? Like, we'd love it if we didn't have to worry so much about the state of our own fucking country. If you guys could just get your shit together, it'd be great. I remember
Speaking of Spartacus, he had another one of his little Spartacus moments. I was reading this afternoon.
Oh, really?
I guess I don't know if this was very recent or when, but I just happened to see it this afternoon. They were doing a confirmation for a potential judge who has never actually been a judge before, so this would be her first time on the bench.
Oh, this is the Kavanaugh replacement, right?
I'm not sure, but he asked her if she'd ever had any LGBTQI plus A law clerks, and she said, "Well, no, I've never been a judge, so I haven't had any law clerks."
Wait! What did he say?
He asked her if she had ever had any LGBTQIA plus, the whole gamut of LGBT bullshit law clerks. Like any of her law clerks had been LGBTQ. And she said, well, no, because I've never been a judge before, so I've never had a law clerk.
That's hilarious. These people, Kamala Harris, it's no secret out here that she, what was his name? That governor, Slick Willie or whatever.
Bill Clinton?
Huh? No.
Bill Clinton was Slick Willie.
Oh, then I've got the wrong nickname. I forget his name. She slept with this governor out here.
Oh, yeah, California,
and that's how she slept her way into a political seat, and that's how she got in. Yeah, Mayor, you're absolutely right. It was the mayor of San Francisco. He was like 20 years her senior, and him and his wife were estranged. It was like open. At the
Willie
time.
Brown. Yeah, Willie Brown, and he was married.
Yeah. I guess he went to events where he had his wife on one arm and Kamala on the other. And it's just like, dude, how do you think that that's going to play out when you're trying to run for president? Like, you don't think everyone who's trying to beat you is going to post, commercials about like how you're just a dirty whore who slept her way into politics? Like you're not even a real politician. You're just somebody's slutty, fuck, I can't remember not prostitute. What do you call it?
Whore?
You're whore. There's another word I'm more.
By the way, guys, I unmuted Casey. He has something he wanted to add.
Yeah, mine.
I'm not escort. Like we.
No, wait, Josh.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Casey.
Because it totally kind of ties in. So continue what you were saying, Josh.
Oh no, I was just trying to remember the word I was looking for. You're
God, I wish you drew better. You should be so much better at this.
There are words I can't. Every once in a while, I get hung up on a word.
Well, no. Okay, well, this is what I was gonna add.
When you've got a woman on the side.
Side chick.
Mistress. That's it.
Oh.
Mistress.
Okay.
God damn it. All right. Go ahead, Casey.
Wait a minute.
What?
Who's got a mistress?
No. I was saying that's who Kamala is. Like that's Kamala Harris slept with that governor, Willie Brown, and that's how she got herself into politics.
I posted that meme where she's got her legs all spread and stuff, and it was talking about.
Yeah. I posted that. Yeah, I'm with whore. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not very nice about her because I don't like her. I think she's the one who proposed. She put into effect a policy where she would punish parents whose kids would go who were truant or absent from school.
Right.
She would jail the parents, and that was her way of trying to. She's her justification for that was like, well, a child's education is really important, so important that I feel if they're not
in public schools.
What's that?
Why do you send them to public schools if their education is so important?
Well, some people, I mean, not everybody has the money to pay for a private school.
My education was important, and both my parents died before I was able to make my own decisions. My mother
That's
died
horrible.
when I was half of ovarian cancer. Yeah, I watched her die in a year. Like a whole year, I watched her die in hospitals all over North Carolina. And after she died, it was like a year later, and my dad died in a car wreck. And I got caught with a roach at school, like a tiny ass like Cheech and Chong roach. Like, I mean, you could probably get like half a teenager high on this shit. And
Okay.
the weirdest thing, because no, hold on, it's relevant. I swear to God, it is. This is the same argument I had tonight with my girlfriend, and every bit of it's relevant. I swear to God, it is. And
All right.
you know, I got caught with this roach at school, and my mom called the school and told on me. My whole entire life, I've never made a straight A report card in my life. Right?
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I'm an artsy kid. I always get in trouble for drawing and talking. That was all I ever got in trouble for, was talking and drawing. You know, I mean, I get into fist fights and stuff and all that stuff, but none of it compared to all the talking and drawing I was fucking doing in school. Heaven forbid. And you know, I made B's and C's my whole life as a kid. I made B's and C's, man. I was never an A kid. And the reason why I wasn't an A kid was because I never did my homework. But when it came time for test to roll around, I knew all my shit. Because I know I'm a shit. And this is another reason why fundamentally it's ingrained in me to be a libertarian to the core of my bone. I'm not liberal. There's tons of artists out there that's liberal. I mean, you can a fucking tree, you can make a fucking salad out of goddamn banana trees and whatever, and say kill all the babies and whatever, and people eat it up. That's not me. But it's just, you know, to be a libertarian and to actually strive to go after what makes you free. And it's different for everybody. I mean, I think that's why everybody that's a libertarian is always at odds with everybody else, is because we're trying to justify ourselves and our liberties compared to what everybody else thinks it's supposed to be. And you don't have to be like that. And everybody in here is educated enough to know that. And I know I don't have to explain that to you guys. So I'm not. What I'm saying is, I just had a fucking fight. And my dog.
Say, Casey.
Shut up. Listen to me.
Dude, I have been listening.
Don't listen to my click clacks on my phone. Y'all always bring this up. I'm a busy guy. I got platoons and shit looking for me. I'm spending time out of my day, you know, Josh, since it wasn't even tasteful to be as egregious as we was.
What are you saying? I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you repeat that last part?
I've been following you since we was in the BCL, and it was
yeah.
Something.
You and I have known each other Facebook-wise for a long time, man.
And
I really appreciate.
It's not really been that long. Let's not kid ourselves.
Dude, it's been a couple of years.
It's been a good almost 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even know I was libertarian until this other kid that I went to military school with, Jonathan Hopper. He won't join your groups because he's one of those libertarians that thinks he's making a difference by not shit posting and stuff. Oh, okay. I'm not sure. I guess I'm not familiar with that mindset. I don't know. But hey, more power to him. Whatever.
He's more educated, and he thinks he's doing better service by being
serious,
morally responsible. I don't know.
Okay, and you know what? That's we need.
But
somebody's got it.
This is all relevant to the fight I had tonight. So I mean,
you had a fight tonight?
Yeah, we got into a major.
Who'd you fight with? This Dennis Hopper guy?
No, my girlfriend.
Oh,
And you see her daughter. Her daughter is very artistic. Okay,
Right.
and she's on all kinds of ADHD medicine and all this other stuff. And she's a handful.
Yeah.
And back when I was in school, we didn't have all. We didn't have the ADHD medicine or nothing like that. And this girl, and she's 12 right now, and I can see myself in her so much. Like in everything that she does, I see myself in her,
Yeah.
except for her lightness and her uncouth towards her mother. And that really bothers me, you know. But
Yeah.
it plays from the fact I love her to death, and I see her on like, and in 10 years, well, no, like she's 12, so like in maybe 4 years, you know, her mom is not equipped to handle it. I was that kid, so I know. And I keep trying to tell them that, and it's all, oh my God, you always say this when you're drinking and stuff. And it's like, no, I say this. I say it's, you know, but she's got so much talent. And she's drawing anime and all this other shit, and I'm trying to steer her, you know, into drawing traditional meaning and stuff like that that's going to carry her through. I mean, it's cool if you got a little niche or whatever that you like to draw. I like to draw 40,000. I like to draw Warhammer 40,000. Hell, I went $14,000 in debt trying to join the Navy, drawing Warhammer 40,000 so I could get a job at Citadel Miniatures or whatever. You know, it's fucking ridiculous. But to be this, to be, this is what I'm trying to explain. To be the way that this girl is at 12 years old, and to be the way that I am at 38,
mm-hmm.
you don't really need anybody explaining you. You don't. Unless
Yeah.
you more, and her mom can draw. I mean, you know, she can draw. Like she sees it on like CD Rag or something like that, she can draw it. But if you tell her to draw the difference between an orangutan and a possum, she
Hey,
can't
bud.
do this. I
Hey,
know I'm
No, I don't mean
rambling,
to, I don't mean to interrupt. Like I know you're trying to tell your story, and I appreciate that and all, but we're having a real tough time hearing you. Not your voice is real low, and it's coming in real robotic. Is it robotic for everybody else?
It's just real low for me.
Yeah, and robotic. So you might want to.
I'm trying to talk right in the mic. Can you hear me?
I can hear you better now.
Okay. Well, it's just like I don't know, like people that's built like this little girl and like me, we're built to think in a different format than most people are.
Right.
And I'm trying to have to explain all that shit that's on the internet to her and all this other stuff that she wants to be a part of, that she, you know, and her like, quit being all this and all that to her. And I'm like, if anybody's the weakest link in this house, you know, not her daughter.
Right.
Wow. Well, you know, I really hope
right now,
that turns out.
We just had like a huge fight. And I'm not even going to bring that up because and I don't like put my shit all over Facebook, but
No, that's probably a good idea. Hey, listen, bud, I really appreciate you sharing all that with us. And I hope that it all works out for you.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, we just gotta we gotta, you know, keep the show going is all I'm saying. We got a bunch of other topics to talk about.
That this is happening right now, though, Casey. But
yeah, seriously,
I think it's great that she has you around, that you actually identify and understand her probably a lot better than most people do, and thank God for that.
And you have my
absolute curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, it is an absolute curse, and I feel so sorry for her and what she's gonna have to go through.
I know.
And that's what I
Well,
was trying to. And it's like, you know, and I mean, I'm trying to get to the point, but it's like a long story, and it's been a long day. But,
Yeah.
I hear you, man.
The fact of the matter is she understands more about social stuff than her mom does.
Right.
And as an artist, all we do is study people. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you think that going into art is anything but studying what light touches and what people do, you're missing. Because that's all we do. All we do is study people and the way light touches stuff.
Yeah.
You sell art. Yeah, the skill comes from being able to draw what light touches. The other bit comes from the part that you can't see, and that's what touches everybody else. And that's why people love art, is because they can't do it.
Right.
And it's just gonna be life for her.
Well, you know what? If anybody's be able to pull through this, figure it out,
But-
I know it's going to be you, bud.
I just
Yeah.
got one question. As a true
Yeah.
libertarian, and as somebody who follows liberty, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where's that line?
Where's what?
I mean, if I'm being stifled as an individual that's
Mhm.
trying to be artistic and spread myself, and I'm not trying to spread myself for monetary gain or anything. I mean, I work with my
Mhm.
hands. I've never made any kind of stability off my art.
Right.
What's the question?
I'm just saying, as a libertarian who follows liberty, when one becomes so stifled, what do you do?
I'm still lost as to what the question is, bud. I'm sorry. I'm trying to follow you. I really am. Either you're not high enough or I'm too sober. I'm not sure which. But listen, as much as I'd love to continue this conversation, we got to get things, brother.
When all you when all you find is frigid resistance, when is it time to fucking pull the plug?
That is the $1 million question. I don't have the answer to that one, bud.
Especially when you have like foundations.
Well, you know, I know you. I know it's a rough time for you. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And
No, I'm not a baby. Continue the show. I just wanted to get that off my chest.
I'm not
that's
saying you're a
cool.
baby. No, I'm just saying I really do appreciate you sharing with us and being so candid. And you have all my sympathies. And if I prayed to a God, I'd pray to him for you, but I don't. So I'll cross my fingers.
Somebody's word for something. When you don't take somebody's word for something and you belittle them constantly, I mean, that's kind of like what we did to Warren. But I mean, she is like.
Are you saying that I'm believing?
No. No, I'm saying that's like what we do to like people like Warren. You know, she had this thing, and she's like 150 million fucking Indian. I got more Indian in me than she does.
Oh, Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out who you're talking about. I'm like,
to
what?
figure out who Warren
Are you
was
talking
too.
about? Who is Warren? All right, now I get you. I think I understand. No.
But people are fighting over that more than my validity of how much I know about people.
Right.
Yeah.
On like a ground zero basis. Like if you come in like the first 30 seconds, I already know how I'm gonna hit you with a sentence.
There you go. All right. Well, I'm gonna put you back on mute for a minute. But we're gonna keep going.
You're not an idiot. I mean, you're an eloquent guy, dude. You get.
I'm really
you're
not.
yourself.
Eloquent is the last thing I am. I am blunt and stupid, but I'm funny about it. So that's probably where the confusion is. But don't worry about it. Hey, again, I appreciate you sharing with us, and
love you, Casey.
Yeah, love you to death, brother. And you have all my best wishes, and I know that everything's going to turn out all right. Because you're a badass motherfucker.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of badass motherfuckers, how about this Northam? Governor Northam from Virginia.
Oh God!
Yeah. That guy.
It seems like things keep coming up. So first, it was this all started with Kathy Tran. We talked a little bit about this when we got onto the subject of abortion last week. And I know this is going to cross over a little bit, but don't worry, won't be like last time. But I thought it went well last time. But anyway, so Virginia tried to that Kathy Tran lady. There's a video of her in front of the Virginia Senate committee or whatever, where she's proposing her bill for late trimester, legalizing late trimester abortions, all the way up to the moment of birth, where there's dilation, and the guy's asking her questions like, "Does your bill allow for that?" She was trying to sidestep the question, and finally she said, "Yeah." Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It allows for that. And he was like, well, and it got shut down. And people are arguing as to how that's really unfair because it's a rare case. And the best rebuttal to that I've seen so far is, well, if it's so rare that it hardly ever happens, why do you need a bill that allows for it? why do you need it then? But this Governor Northam in Virginia went around. I guess he was. There's a video of him there in front of a podium defending the bill, and then there's another video of him discussing the bill on it looks like he's in a studio for a radio show. There's a couple of women in there with him, and they're talking to him about this bill and asking him questions about the bill. And he talks about how it goes farther than the late trimester, where, if the child is somehow, if there's a deformity, or if it is considered not viable, then but survives the birth, then they'll swaddle in his own words, he said, we'll swaddle the child, make it comfortable, and then the doctors and the parents will go in another room and have a discussion. And essentially what he means is they're going to talk about whether or not we're going to kill this kid.
Yeah.
Which, and the bill is meant to allow for all of that. So essentially, a child who's been born and is alive, at this point, there should be no question of legality or viability. Like, it's alive, it's out of the womb, it's a child. You can't. There should be no discussion about, hey, so are we going to have a post-birth abortion?
Right.
Are we just going to make up words now?
What'd you say, John?
Talk about moving the field goal.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And that's, I think I posted something about that, and I said, fuck it, let's just call murder post-birth abortions and just legalize everything. Like, I didn't kill that man. I just aborted him 30 years after his fucking birth. It's just, that's how ridiculous it sounds to me, at least. And I don't know. I'd love to have somebody who if any of you feel that I'm wrong about that.
Didn't we talk about abortion last week? Do we really need to bring it up again?
Calm it way. We're getting this. Northam's right into this. All right, we'll move forward. So anyway.
I thought Northam was the guy who was in blackface in his yearbook.
Yes.
It's the same guy. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's
so
the same guy.
This governor who's defending this bill, all of a sudden, boom, somebody posted a picture of his yearbook from 30 years ago, back when he was in med school. And there's a whole page of him, and there's pictures of him, his face and everything, and then there's a picture of him at a party, and we don't know which one of the two people is him, but there's somebody in blackface and then somebody in a KKK hooded outfit. And it's like, oh, he's one of those two people. And so that was a big hoopla. And then there was another page, I think from the same yearbook, where it shows him, and it's like a sports thing. Like he was involved in, I don't know if it was baseball or football or something like that, but it lists what sports he was in. It's his face, and then it shows a list of nicknames. There's like 2 or 3, and one of them is Coon Man.
Yeah, I think that was from high school or college. It was a different yearbook, not the med school one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's crazy. And then just today or yesterday, I saw somebody posted a link, and I shared it in the group of a video clip from him back in 2013, where he was on some local television show in Virginia, sitting next to his opponent at the time, which happened to be a black man. And it was it's only like a 14-second clip, and it's the tail end where the host of the show is saying, well, thanks for showing up. And the black guy's like, yeah, thanks. And he shakes the host's hand, and he puts his hand out to Northam, who ignores his hand. And you can't say he didn't see the hand, because then the black guy taps his leg like, hey, in case you didn't see my hand, here it is. I'm trying to shake your hand. And Northam ignores him, won't look at him, won't acknowledge him. And the black guy just kind of shrugs. He's like, oh, all right. And it's not a good look. Not a fucking good look at all. It just keeps piling on. Who the fuck? How does this slip by? How do we not? How were we oblivious to all of this? None of this came out until just now, and that trips me out.
Well, because this going after people's past, like looking at their yearbooks, honestly, that really didn't start until people were looking at Kavanaugh. I mean, I don't remember anybody really looking deep into yearbooks, and this was found by a right-wing group. And then it was confirmed by everybody else when they got copies of the yearbook, so everybody knows they're all true. Yeah, this is kind of a new thing. So, now everybody's going to be looking back at their yearbook and be going like, oh, shit, did I have something stupid in mind when I was young or not?
I mean, that's beyond stupid, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm shocked. I mean, because this wasn't the 60s. This was 1984, I believe, when he did the blackface. I'm like, dude, I was, 9 years old, and I knew that the KKK was bad and you don't dress in blackface. I mean, shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and I grew up in a racist fucking town too, so.
Yeah, man, that's crazy to me. That because I think back to all the stupid shit I did, and I never did anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, I did shit, like I got in fights and I did drugs and had premarital sex. That was like the extent, I ditched school and cut class. Like, I don't remember running around in blackface. Not that I don't remember. I know I didn't.
Right, exactly.
I should let me reword that so we're all fucking clear on that point. That's just crazy. So I guess everybody's calling for him to resign, and I've been using him as an example to kind of troll liberals, because I feel like for a long time now I've felt like liberals are really a lot more racist of a party than they let on. Like, the leftists and the liberals, or the left extreme, whatever you want to call it, they all seem to proclaim themselves champions of the little people, of the downtrodden, the underdogs, and the fighters, champions of the right, of meaning what's right, and they're against racism and sexism and all the isms, and yet it's seemed to me for a long time now that nobody is more ismed up than they are. All this time they've been pointing the fingers at everyone else, and I've really felt like, no, that's you guys. They claim that. Here's an example: the voter ID laws. Their claim is that those laws are racist because they single out minorities, specifically blacks, because. And here's where the racism really comes in, because blacks just don't know, they don't have IDs because they don't know where to get them, or they can't afford them, or, well, I don't know what excuses that to me seems way more racist than saying you just have to have your ID in order to vote. Like,
right?
Really? You think black people are just so inept and so stupid that they can't fucking get out? You're the racist. And that's how I see liberals. And when this kind of stuff happens, stuff like this Governor Northam, I really feel like this is the reveal. This is to me, and maybe this could be wrong of me. Maybe this is how I'm being. I'm generalizing, and I'm using a blanket statement or throwing them all under the same umbrella. But I kind of feel like the majority of them probably deserve it, and maybe I'm wrong for thinking that. But that's what I think. That's where I'm at right now. I feel like he's an example of what the majority of them are. Like, you're all a bunch of fucking hide in the dark racists pointing that finger at everyone else when really you're the one doing it. Does anybody else have that feeling about the leftists, the liberals?
I do, and I feel like they get away with it because they're able to say, well, we have their best interests at heart. But
yeah.
Like, why do they have to be the victims?
Yeah.
Minorities don't have to be victims.
No.
They do if you want their votes.
Exactly.
For every moment of triumph,
insulting.
for every instance of beauty, many souls must be trampled. Hunter S. Thompson. Is that really a picture of Hunter? He must be young if that's him. He looks young. That doesn't look like him. Trip out. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at with that. I think Northam definitely should resign. Which brings us to now, speaking about reveals, there's a small little thing going on with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan did a show with Jack Dorsey. I made a faux pas. I said Dempsey in all my
okay. I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, I got his name wrong, and I didn't double check until like 15 minutes before the show. I was like, Dempsey doesn't sound right. Maybe I should go double check that. And I was like, oh shit, for the last day and a half I've been putting the wrong name. Anyway, Jack Dorsey is the creator or the CEO. I don't know if he actually created it, but he's definitely the head of Twitter. He's the big cheese, the head guy. And Joe Rogan had him on his podcast. And for quite some years now, a lot of people have had a major gripe with Twitter in that they feel there is some major bias in how Twitter enforces its rules. In that, in that, if you're liberal, you get away with saying a lot more crazy shit, and it doesn't seem to go against their community standards, whatever they call them. But if you're a known right winger, or conservative or what have you, if you're right of the left, you don't get away with shit. I mean, people were getting their accounts permanently deleted just for saying "learn to code" to those so-called journalists who got laid off.
Right.
You know, which to me, I can't think of anything more. There's no slur, right? They're not using profanity. They're not threat. It's not a threat of any kind to their life.
Yeah,
it's not inciting violence. So how the fuck can something as simple as learn to code be used to shut down permanently somebody's Twitter account? Like, really? Yeah. That's considered. Like that's.
Yeah, Ben Popkin is the journalist I saw especially quote this. He's a NBC News senior business reporter, but he was out there bragging. He said, he tweeted, "Learn to code was tweeted at me by a sketchy account. I reported it as abusive behavior as part of a targeted harassment. Twitter suspended the account within 20 minutes. Journalists, if they tweet learn to code at you, don't stay silent. Take a moment to report it." Like,
right. So, I mean, if you want to report something, that's fair. That's fine. I get it. You're a pussy. But the fact that it works is the problem I have. Like,
yeah,
it should not be. Why is that effective? Like, how do you justify that? Like, oh yeah, he said learn to code. We're going to shut him down. We're going to permanently delete his fucking Twitter account. Really? Over that? How do you justify that? But they can say shit like, I hope somebody should burn down the Covington school with all the kids in it, and let's teach them a lesson by going after their families, like crazy shit like that. And that's not worthy of getting your account permanently deleted. You can just do that all day long, huh? That's crazy to me. I guess everybody must agree. So anyway, the point with this is that Joe Rogan had Jack Dorsey on his show. Hold on.
Chance is asking, what does learn to code mean? You want to explain, Josh?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the learn to code thing is, because I had to look this up myself. I guess back during Obama's term, I don't know specifically when. This was back when the coal miners, all the coal mines were getting shut down. Like, yeah. We were like the government was saying we're not gonna allow that anymore. So all of a sudden, these coal mines were shutting down, and all these coal miners were out of a job, and there were lots of them, and they were all worried because they were like, "I've been doing this for 35 years. What do I do now?" And these journalists, the same ones who were now getting laid off, back then, they were smugly, snidely saying, in response to them, "Oh yeah, for all you coal miners who are worried about what do I do now, you should probably maybe learn to code." As a response to their concern about how they're going to pay or earn a paycheck to feed the families, learn to code, which was just a very heartless,
very
very smug, very snide, sarcastic, and not it is heartless. I mean,
yeah, very.
You're certainly within your rights to say that if you want to be though, but you're an asshole. You're an insensitive, heartless prick, and you know it, and they know it. So shortly after the Covington debacle, the Covington kids, when everybody jumped on the kids, and then the true story came out, and all of a sudden all these news media outlets and celebrities started backpedaling and saying, "Wait, I'm sorry, we were wrong. We didn't know. We didn't have the whole story. We didn't watch the whole video. My bad. I guess the kids weren't that wrong." I mean, a lot of them were publishing retractions and apologies, and then just days after that, nobody's made the direct connection, but I feel like it has something to do with that Covington debacle. All of a sudden, BuzzFeed, Washington Post, and a list of other media outlets laid off tons of opinion op-ed journalists, and in some cases, like Washington Post, laid off their entire opinion section. Like everybody who is, they just don't have an opinion section right now at all. So there's hundreds of these newly laid off op-ed journalists, and exactly what the type that you would think of, like feminist, activist, SJW leftist journalists. One of them touted how she has a literal PhD in romantic comedies or some shit. I don't know how that's a thing. How do you get a degree in romantic comedies, and why would you get one? And how does that help your resume at all? It's craziness. But these people are on Twitter now after being laid off, saying, if anybody's looking for a journalist who, specializes in feminist dance theory, then I'm your girl. And people are responding to these journalists saying, learn to code. Real quick before I continue, I'm getting feedback from someone.
I think that's Adam, but I think he wanted to chime in on this topic.
Oh, okay. Adam, if you, I'm sorry if I've been chatting away. Please jump in, man.
We kind of moved past it. You're talking about the banning from. Well, you're talking about the banning from Twitter or Facebook. In my opinion, they're both private entities, and yeah, there are some case law out there which I don't agree with. From a legal standpoint, it says if you're a public domain, public service, you have a duty to provide for the public and not censor. But honestly, it's hard. I think Facebook, Twitter, whatever, they should be able to set whatever bullshit standard they want, like it or leave it, like it or hate it. In ideal world, we'd all run to a different platform. But that's all I had to say. I mean, we're well past that. We kind of got on the learn to code thing, so we're past all that.
Yeah.
No, but it's a good point. I mean, as much as I like to bitch about how unfair and shit Facebook can be, and Twitter as well, I also strongly feel like they have the right to be unfair and as shit as they want to be. But I really wish there was another platform that was as user friendly that we could all run to.
I've heard that argument before about these companies being private companies, and therefore having the right to decide what gets censored, what doesn't, what's allowed, what isn't. Mm-hmm. But I've also heard that these companies, a good majority of them, like Twitter, like Facebook, when they were initially created, benefited from government grants or programs. So taxpayer money went into funding their creation at the beginning.
That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
From a regional standpoint, that's probably
it doesn't matter.
No, every major company that's worth, more than $10 million. Shit. There's anyone that's anything got taxpayer funds at some point or another. And I don't agree with that. I got to be honest. I don't like corporate welfare at all.
Exactly.
We can have a whole show on that about why I fucking hate it. But I don't bemoan Facebook, Google, or any of the others from taking the money. In my opinion, if our government's dumb enough to give it to you, fuck it, take it. You know what? I don't bemoan you for that. I really don't. What I hate is our politicians that allow it to happen. Yep. But I understand what you're saying, Josh, because the infrastructure was laid by companies that was largely subsidized, fiber optic network, and it is something that's worthwhile for the government to actually invest in. I'm actually, as libertarian as I lean, I do support an infrastructure to a large extent, but at the end of the day, I came back. As much as I hate those douchebags, it's their company, and I just don't think they should be forced to do anything they don't want to.
No, I'm not saying that they should be forced, by threat of gun or via.
That's the only kind of force there is. there's yeah. And remember, if you try to get the government involved, the government will impose their own rules and their own types of censorship.
No, you're right.
That will,
and I'm not.
So, which is way, way, way worse.
I'm not
than anything a private company can do.
I'm not advocating for that. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that there is a movement towards a biased censorship, and there seems to be a what's the word? A
cooperation by these private entities in doing so,
where they're working together.
Yeah, I know.
To enforce, to make sure that a certain narrative is pushed and seen and heard, and that its opposition is suppressed, and that is a problem. What's the solution to that? I don't know exactly, but I know that what I would normally say is, well, somebody has to go out and make a company that does the same thing that doesn't do these kinds of things. That's the solution normally. However, I feel like there is these corporate entities are working in unison to ensure that doesn't happen either. And an example of that would be this Patreon nonsense, where you have they were shutting down.
Oh, right.
Like Alex Jones, and then it was Sargon of Akkad, which was the big one, where they said we're no longer going to support him. And you had, who was it? Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson have since canceled their Patreon subscriptions or whatever, and are in the process. I guess there was another company that was trying to do the same thing that Patreon was doing, and I think Sargon was going to go there, and I think Jordan was too, but Patreon shut them down somehow as well. I don't know the details of that, but essentially somebody tried to make a company that does the same thing as Patreon, but without the censorship. Okay, we'll provide that alternative. The market, there's a demand for it, obviously, so we'll provide that. And it was shut down. Their funding was pulled out from under them. They weren't able to sustain themselves as a company. So that is a problem, where normally the solution is make something that does the same thing but does not have those limitations that everybody complains about. That would be great if they allowed it. They're not allowing it, and that would that fall under monopoly? I don't think it does.
So Josh, a real quick question. I'm sorry, and I keep muting myself because my microphone is giving feedback, so I don't want it to buzz all night.
No.
Go ahead. You said something. I missed the very first part of it. Who is it that shut down the Patreon competitors? I saw this a couple weeks ago, but I gotta be honest, I just don't remember.
So there was a Patreon competitor. I forget the name of it. Jordan and Sargon were going to use this competitor. Patreon shut them down because I think they were somehow using Patreon. This competitor company, or right? So
okay. So that kind of
here's the thing. The reason Patreon is able to do what Patreon does is they have the connections to Visa and MasterCard and all the credit companies. And it turns out, and I think Jordan and Dave Rubin did some digging to find out why Patreon was shutting down Sargon of Akkad. It turns out that they weren't making the decision. They were being told by the credit companies, shut them down. Do not support them anymore, or you will lose your connection with us. And if Patreon loses that connection, they lose their ability to do what they do, to transfer money back and forth. So these credit companies are really the ones behind the scenes pulling the strings and making this decision. And that's Patreon's following orders because Patreon's, on the chopping block. Otherwise, this competitor. Go ahead.
This is basically what Rockefeller did in the robber baron days. In the early 1900s, where basically said, "Fine, do business that you want to, but fuck you. Standard Oil is going to go against you, and no one dare stand against them." And, Standard Oil was by and far the largest corporation the planet has ever seen and ever has seen, adjusted for inflation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Okay, and you're right. It's kind of coming back to me. I remember seeing an article on it. Okay, there are some protections against that kind of behavior. I forget what it's called. It's something I learned in law school. That's all kind of U.S., AP U.S. history bullshit. But again, it's one of those things that. I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Say it again.
I'm sorry. Let me just cut in just for a moment. Chance, You're asking if the competitor company was called Memberful. I know if I heard the name of it, I would be able to tell you what it was. That's not it. It was something like, oh God, it was like doubloon or something like that. I think it was the name of a coin, like an old style coin. What?
Manifest? No, that's not it. Fuck, I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue what you were saying.
Oh, so what I was saying is, so you've seen this before. I mean, Rockefeller, like I said, back in the day, and to a much larger scale. This wasn't some guy that's trying to raise a couple $100,000. I mean, he literally shut down everyone that went against him because he could. I mean, he would sell under the price. I mean, and he flat out told his competitors eventually, hey, if you don't only, if you ship oil from, Josh Auger Oil Company, you'll never ship for Standard Oil ever again. And that basically killed everyone. Mm-hmm. It's all had to do with the railroads, but I don't know. I just find that stuff fascinating. I mean, it's like your modern day robber barons, but on the digital world.
Right.
And it goes back to your thing about Facebook too, because let's just be honest. Everyone says, oh, there's so many platforms. It's fucking Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are the big three. And I'm not even on Instagram, but by and far, those three make up 98% of social media presence.
Yeah.
And the other ones are infested with so much illicit shit. I don't know if you even want to be on there. I mean, they're getting popped left and right for distribution. Drug. They're basically just fronts for drug runners and kiddie porn.
Hang on a second, Scott. I think you're absolutely right. I think Subscribestar was the name of it, of the company that got shut down. That sounds right to me. So continue.
Oh, no, that's it. And I don't know. I've had that same thought. I mean, this is, like I said, this is the modern day, these startups. No one realistically, I don't see a company getting off the ground and competing with Facebook. If Google couldn't do it with Google Plus, no one's going to do it. You see what I mean? It's just
right. You have to provide something that people are going to flock to. I think MeWe's great. I think it's got a lot of potential, but it's just people are used to Facebook and people are used to Instagram, and that's where they're staying right now, and that's where they're going to stay until something grabs them. It'll happen eventually. It's just a matter of when and what will it be. And Casey, you're right. I was wrong about the coin name. I think what I'm remembering is Jordan and Jordan Peterson wants to create a competitor company to Patreon, and I think he was thinking of naming it after a coin. Perhaps that's what I'm remembering, and maybe I mixed it up. So you're right. Subscribe Star is not the name of a coin. So my curiosity is, there's got to be an answer. There's got to be a solution to this issue, because this can't be, in my opinion, allowed. This can't just, where, because they have the power, they have the backing, they have the these major credit companies and whatnot, they can just say no, and they decide what succeeds and what doesn't, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah, it is.
And apparently everybody agrees.
It is. There's no good solution, and I
think the solution lies in
here's
so it's the credit companies. If the credit companies are telling, obviously Patreon's not the one making the decisions. Patreon's doing what the credit companies are telling them to do. So the credit companies are the ones where that's where the problem lies. That's what we need to look at. That's what needs to be dealt with. How is now the question.
I think one of the biggest, the biggest issue I see, at least, is, Facebook doesn't, the whole way Facebook makes money, or 98% of its revenue, is they sell advertisements. That's all they do. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, you take away the social media aspect, Facebook really doesn't give a shit about what we're talking about. What'd you say?
And our data, not just ad revenue, but they sell our data.
No, absolutely right. They're data miners and ad revenue sellers. If you think about it, be able to monetize and make a profitable platform, it's going to be so damn hard to get in there, because if you're an advertiser, unless I did something where I started something and I literally let you flood it for free, just in hopes that it gets off the ground, kind of like what Craigslist was. Mm-hmm. When Craigslist first started, ads now, but it was completely altruistic. The guy just said, "Hey, I want a free market experience," and he made no money off it ever. But that's going to be so damn hard. And Craigslist is nothing compared to Facebook. Craigslist is just a bulletin board. Facebook is videos. I mean, it's an advanced website.
Right.
I just don't see anything coming along to break it up, or even in any significant way competing with it in ever. I got to be honest. Unless there's just something new. No one saw the rise of mobile phones like we did today. If there's something new that we just haven't imagined, and everyone goes to that, and Facebook doesn't catch that wave, then they'll be replaced by obsolescence. But that's the only thing I can see it happening.
Here's where I disagree with you on that perspective. We had MySpace before Facebook. If anything, there was much more in the way of options and customization when it came to MySpace than there was with Facebook, and still even now with the changes since then, there's still much more in the way of customization with MySpace than there is today with Facebook. So we had a thing. Facebook came along, and it was new. Somehow it was shinier, and it drew everybody's attention, and everybody abandoned ship with MySpace. But I don't see a massive difference between the two social networks. So why did that happen? Right? It wasn't like Facebook offered something that MySpace didn't.
I wondered why that happened. Because
right. So the idea that there's never going to be anything that does to Facebook what Facebook did to MySpace doesn't make sense to me. Like, it happened to MySpace. Why couldn't it happen to Facebook?
I don't remember. I don't think I ever had a MySpace account. I had some friends that did. Here's where I think the difference is. I was actually thinking about this just a couple weeks ago. I don't know if y'all remember, but like when I first signed up for Facebook in 2004, it used to be, it was student only, and it looked nothing like, oh, God damn it. Sorry. Fucking cat. Sorry, just knocked the bottle off the damn table. Sorry, y'all. What was I saying? Okay. God damn you, asshole. So in 2004, Facebook looked absolutely nothing like it did now.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to imagine, but it's the truth. I mean, it was kind of clumsy. It was a novelty. And I remember thinking, okay, whatever. I had it just because, I was trying to figure out who the hot girls were in desperate attempts to get laid in college. Then they did two things which made it this company. They opened it up to everyone, which I remember well. I remember well that everyone said, oh, no, Facebook's dead. It's not for students anymore. They instantly opened up to the world, and they made the news feed. When the news feed came, it was horrifically unpopular. Everyone's saying, oh, my God, this is fucking terrible. Our privacy is at stake. And they were right, 100%. But as time went on, people just kind of forgot about it, and we voluntarily gave up all our privacy. And that's why I don't think MySpace ever competed. That news feed, it's fucking addictive.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I find myself, I'm sitting around in court, I probably check the damn app, 25 times a day because I'm bored as shit waiting around for something to happen. And it's fun and encouraging to understand, hey, what's my friend doing?
Yeah.
It's bullshit prattle, but that's the one thing MySpace never did. You had somebody that would update their blog, once a week, once every 2 weeks. That's fine, okay. But they basically went and adopted what the Twitter model was. Twitter. That's, in my opinion, what made Facebook a giant. In around 2007, 2008, when they launched the news feed, it changed, and no one's been able to keep up since then.
True. You're right about the newsfeed being addictive, and MySpace did not have that.
No, I don't. Yeah, you. In order to find out what somebody was doing on MySpace, you had to go directly to their page.
Right.
Exactly. It wasn't
a one-stop shop that just scrolled everything, all your friends.
I was pissed when I had to go over to Facebook, though, because everyone had left MySpace, and I fucking loved MySpace.
Right. Here's the thing, though. That's a small, minute difference, right? That's not some major thing. The effect was massive, obviously, but the change itself is minor at best. So why would there not be somebody who would come to some idea of something equally minor that would have an equally massive effect? Why would you think that only Facebook could come up with something like that? If they did it, why can't somebody else? From my perspective, in my opinion, it's just a matter of time before somebody does to Facebook what Facebook did to MySpace.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we have to invent technology that hasn't been thought of yet.
Right there.
I want you to know you're no longer a co-host on this show. And as the show's over, I'm blocking you from my group.
No, but as stupid of a statement as it was, in a dumb roundabout way, she wasn't necessarily wrong. But because you're right, Josh, I firmly believe that innovation is going to continue indefinitely until we fucking kill each other. And we're going to go back to, the Fourth World War we fought with sticks and stones, basically. But whatever's around the horizon, I don't know what it is. Because if I didn't know what it is, I wouldn't be practicing fucking law. I'd be a multi-billionaire banging goddamn Russian hookers on my yacht every weekend, and I get seasick. So So you hit the issue 100%, and I don't think there's anyone with half a brain that could argue it. The problem is, it's who's going to be that it, and who's going to find it. It's possible it's already out there. I mean, it could be there's a website just working that some nerd in his underwear coding at MIT in his spare time is made as a mere hobby, and in 5 years this thing's going to be a giant.
Well,
it's possible.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
You know, MeWe to me, MeWe is a potential heir in the sense that it provides the privacy and none of the restrictions that you find in MySpace. It's just I think the difference is the user friendliness. It's just not as user friendly as
it's not fun to
MySpace.
use.
And
God, it sucks.
there's a fair reason. They're making adjustments slowly, and it gets a little better over time. It's a slow growing thing, but there's membership, subscribership, whatever you want to call it, is growing. And to me, I feel like the only reason I'm not on MeWe more is because everybody is still over on Facebook. I would love, and I'm hoping that somebody over at MeWe comes up, after adjustment after adjustment after adjustment, something happens where they figure out how to make it, the right amount of user friendliness to where it makes more people go, okay, I like this. I'll come over and get, I'll subscribe. I'll get a membership. I'll get a MeWe account, and everybody will transfer over. I imagine that's probably how it will go when it finally happens. It may not be MeWe. It may be some other company or social network, but something is going to replace Facebook. Facebook.
I think Facebook's going to shoot themselves in the foot. They're going to make too many enemies.
Correct.
Because
that's exactly where I was going with that.
They have sold out the social justice warriors,
Yep.
and I am a firm fucking believer in this. And you'll never convince me otherwise, because history throughout all of humankind is that this vocal justice outrage is complete bullshit. I think people fall lockstep in order because they're so terrified of being branded. You know what I mean? And we've seen it over and over again, a very vocal minority. Now, of course, we're not talking ethnic. We're talking a group of crazy people or extreme ideology will time and time again dominate, control, and manipulate and just run a silent vocal majority, non-vocal majority. I'm sorry. Yeah, a vocal minority that's extreme and rises up and everything, and without pushback, which is what we're seeing. Or if you dare push back, then you're crucified. They're going to win every fucking time. And we can go into count after count. I hate being so fucking cliche, but it's the same thing that happened in Nazi Germany. They said by all accounts, 4% was a member of what you call the radical Nazi party. And look what they did. They literally overthrew the government, installed their guy Hitler as a chancellor. And I mean, that's just one example. You can look all over the planet and it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook's doing. They're catering to this, and there has to be a tipping point. Eventually, people are going to say, fuck off and shut the hell up.
Well, we're seeing it in corporate America, or just in the corporate world at large, really, this new trend of wanting to cater to the youth of today who demand that their corporate entities take a stand politically on issues. And we, that's, I don't think it'll ever change that cash will be king, right? Like the corporations, the bottom line is always going to be the primary issue or focus. But with these this new generation demanding, the corporations take a stand, they're trying, I think we're seeing the fumbling beginnings of corporations trying to take steps in that direction. And it's a new thing they're trying out, and they're trying to do it because they feel like, well, that's what they want, and we want their dollars. And if we give them what they want, they'll give us their dollars. So, okay, here you go, and you got Gillette making, stupid commercials, and you've got all these companies making stupid statements. You got that restaurateur or whatever saying, I'm not going to let anybody in with a hat. And they're real. And you're right. We're talking about a vocal minority because when they do make these mistakes, or actually, I should say, when they take these positions and then realize it's a mistake and they backpedal, that restaurateur posted an apology and said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. I was wrong, because there was enough pushback after he said that he was like, oh shit. So obviously he's not making to me, he's an example of what all these other corporations are doing. He backpedaled because that's not really his political stance. He was trying to do what he thought would bring him more business. And when he saw enough pushback to where he felt he was going to get hit in the wallet, he reversed himself. Whoa, just kidding. Please eat at my restaurant. I was wrong. So this isn't about the actual companies having a political stance or being true to whatever political position they espouse. It's just them trying to. It's corporations just doing what they always do, trying to figure out the best way to get your dollars in their pockets, right?
Absolutely. No, I agree. Like, sorry, I keep muting. So my microphone keeps buzzing tonight. But yeah, no. I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think that's what I was trying to say. Basically, you're going to need a platform that's going to be able to rapidly expand and either forego monetizing in the early part, or again, something so innovative that they're just going to leave the competition behind. And I don't know what that is. Trust me, I wish I did.
I have a funny, what we're going to see is enough companies have to make these mistakes or take these positions and have it hurt them for them to stop, for them to go, you know what, this is not getting us what we want. It's funny. I have a funny little story about that. My mother sent me a picture of something that she didn't understand. And she was like, well, I guess somebody on her newsfeed on Facebook had posted a picture of Gillette razors in a store. They took a picture of and it had a sticker price that said, $15.99 for a pack of the replacement razors. And it was crossed out or, X'd out, and they had a new price, which was like $1.49. And she's like, why is this important? And I told her about the commercial and the political stance that they had made. And I don't know if that picture is true. I sure hope it is. I hear that they're taking a hit, that they've lost revenue, Gillette. And I really hope that that's true, because that's the only way that this has to happen to enough companies where they take a position, it hits them in the wallet, and they go, oops. And then finally, other companies will not even take that risk. They'll go, you know what? All those guys did it, and enough of them got burned. I think I'm just not going to do that. That seems like a risk not worth taking, and that's the only way I see this stopping. But I feel like that has to be the way it's going. Another example is the Nike thing. I remember when it first happened, I heard Nike was fine, but I've since heard that Nike has consistently taken a hit. Not that they continue to drop, but it's just this. Their sales revenue hasn't recuperated since they put out the Kaepernick ads. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard.
I'll see if I can look something up.
So I would love to hear that Gillette fucking took the hit. I would love for them to reverse themselves. I don't know that they will, but it's, if they take enough of a hit monetarily, then yes, they will, because they have shareholders that they have to answer to, and the shareholders don't give a shit about anything else than getting their money back and a return on their investment. So
just a quick search shows that through their second quarter, which ended November 30th, they had a 10% jump in income.
Okay.
Revenue growth. So yeah, no, it's still, they had a 30% jump right afterwards, and then but now it's leveled off. So yeah, it's still very strong. It was definitely not going to hurt them. They were right about that.
Okay.
Unlike Dick's Sporting Goods, which got hurt.
Well, I mean, and there's a difference between Nike's statement and Gillette's, and Nike's statement was one that was universal.
Right.
You could take Kaepernick's face off of the ad, and the statement still stands true.
Exactly.
Stand for something, even if you have to sacrifice everything, or whatever the wording was. I don't remember.
And another thing too is that became so popular that they had a ton of free advertising.
Yeah.
Yes.
I made 10 of them.
I shared something like 40 of them.
I'm sure. Yeah, that was big at the moment. So it was a message that you didn't have to agree with Kaepernick to be able to agree with that statement. Like, yes, that statement is true, with or without Kaepernick, and that's different from what Gillette did. In that Gillette very clearly stated, "You're idiots and shitty fucks who need to be told not to beat people up or sexually assault women. Like, you're all shitheels, and you need to stop. And you won't stop until we tell you to stop. So that's what we're here to do, to educate you in how to not be such a piece of shit. Also buy my razors." That's a different message entirely.
Right? It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out for him.
So, I don't think that's going to work out. And what was the other company you mentioned, Joel?
Dick's Sporting Goods. Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah. Now, Dick's took a big hit, but
yeah.
And this is what I was saying. Nike, I think, played to its market. Whether you can say, "Oh, it's racist," but they sell, I think, majority to young urban. Either look up or sympathize with what Kaepernick did.
Exactly.
And that's what it was. It was a smart marketing move. Yeah, they pissed off and ostracized a whole bunch of people. They ostracized a whole bunch of people that weren't going to fucking shop there. Dick's catered again to these extreme social justice warriors when they should have said, "Fuck you. We believe everyone should have a gun. Suck our nuts," and wave the Confederate flag. And their sales probably would have gone up 50%.
Right.
Yeah. About the people he angered, because they're not going to come fucking shop there anyway.
Yep.
And this is a hard lesson that people are learning. Is that they'd rather be morally right because they're so scared of what's going to happen in the media than fucking playing to their base. And, Dick's was stupid. Cabela's kind of doubled down on it, or not doubled down. I'm sorry. They kind of sprung in and they backed off at the same time. I guess they figured there wasn't much there, but they said, "Hey, you know what? We'll still sell you an assault rifle. We'll sell you ammunition, and we still believe in the Second Amendment." And their sales have gone up. And now Dick's is really financially hurting. What a bunch of dipshits, honestly.
Oh, that you just reminded me. There's, I don't know if it's a state law proposal or if it's just a county. If it is just a county, then it's here. Let me clarify. You reminded me of something I heard on KFI about California. Here, they're trying to propose new gun restrictions.
California fucking sucks.
Where they're trying, and I don't know if it's state or if it was just a county, but if it is just a county, it's just a step. If they can get it passed in the county, then they'll, it's just one step towards getting it state approved, state mandated. The laws they're proposing are against any magazine that holds more than 5 rounds, which
was that California or someone else?
As I understood it was California. Maybe I have the wrong state. Is it a different state?
I thought it was Massachusetts, but hang on a second. Fuck me. No, I remember seeing it, and the problem is, no, wait a minute. I remember what it was. It was New Jersey.
Oh, is it New Jersey?
Was fucking, yeah, it was New Jersey, and here was the problem. They passed this law. Okay. No. All right, I remember this. They passed the law. It's on the books. It was you cannot have a magazine that holds more than 5 rounds, which is fucking stupid. Just means my 6-shot 357 is illegal. But let's get past that. It explicitly said there is no exemption. In the first bill, it said for U.S. military law enforcement. Military looked at it and said, you fucking idiots, this is federal territory, so they took that out. They don't exempt law enforcement unless you're on duty. Here's the problem. The majority of cops that work in New York can't afford to fucking live in New York. It's expensive. They live in New Jersey. They take the tunnel across. So that means every time they go home, they're committing a felony by carrying their weapons. And the legislature said, oh, wait a minute, no. We trust us. We know. We're not going to enforce that. To which everyone said, fuck off. If you really trust them to do the right thing, then you got another thing coming. It was New Jersey. They passed it. It was a 5-round limit. It's on the books, and it's the dumbest fucking law I've ever seen.
Well, and that's just part of the law. Sean, to answer your question, I remember them asking that question, what about 6 shooters? And from what I understand, the verbiage of the law does put it into question that 6 shooters, while it doesn't explicitly or specifically single them out and say, yes, they're illegal, the wording puts it into question. So it's vague, and they could essentially say, yeah, they're illegal. You can't use those either. But the other part of it is they're putting restrictions on how many rounds you're allowed to buy per month. And I think if I remember correctly, it was you could buy 20 rounds in a month. And I think most ammunition packaging or packages are like 25 to 40 rounds. So you can't buy a full package of ammunition.
Yeah, no, that's true. Anything outside
you have
of
to buy half of it, and then if you're a good boy, you can come back next month and get the other half. And that's the other thing is this law puts the onus on the gun shop owners they have to keep a list of who's buying what ammo and when. Like they have to have a whole registration or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Fuck that.
Yeah, man. That's some scary shit. Because if they can get that passed there, then that's just a step towards getting it passed somewhere else. And then again and again until it becomes not just a state thing, but a federal thing. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. I don't remember what it was now that you said, but something clicked, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I heard about that crazy law." And I guess I must have assumed it was California because it sounded like crazy shit that California would pull.
California fucking sucks, but New Jersey's pretty god awful too. Let's just be honest.
That's what I've heard. Garden State my ass.
Hey, do we want to? We're getting closer to time. Do we want to go to the Super Bowl, or do you want to do the movies that you had talked about?
I think we got. What do we got? Like 11 minutes. We got time enough for both. Let's talk about the Super Bowl.
It was boring.
See, this is why I knew we had enough time for both. So
I actually didn't watch. I only watched a part of the fourth quarter, and apparently I saw the highlight, and that much sucked. So, yeah.
I heard somebody argue against it being boring. Somebody made a comment stating that he was a long-time football fan and he knew the game in and out. And if you know the game well, then it was a glorious game in that you watched two teams who had extremely solid defenses, and that was what made it interesting. Watching those defenses work so well and watching the teams struggle to figure out how to get past them. I'm not a legitimate football fan. I know fuck all. I didn't even watch the game. So all I know is that the Patriots won, and I like to use that to make people mad. And that's the extent of it for me.
Still, though, there are I'm an Aggie fan, A&M grad. My top 5 favorite games of all time was 2010 when A&M beat Nebraska. The score was 9-6. That game I rewatched. I mean, it was one of the best games I've ever seen. That's fucking low scoring. It was a couple of field goals and that's it. That was an amazing game. And there can be really good games like that because both teams were just playing lights out, balls to the wall football. This one, by all accounts, when I looked at the highlights, it was just neither team really got shit going on offense until who was that wide receiver that won MVP?
Edelman.
Yeah. And I mean, he was basically the only thing that redeemed the game in any way. I mean, Brady is still fucking Brady. I mean, he's a good quarterback and everything else, and give credit to their defense. But when I looked at the stats and just how it played out, this didn't look like a defensive slugfest. It just kind of looked like it, and it's kind of a hard thing to describe. Why? Because some defensive battles are fun as shit. This one just looked fucking boring. It really did.
Yes, it is.
I can't say why, but it's the truth. I mean, some games, low scoring, amazing. Some of the best games I've ever watched, and I kind of lived for those days when it was like 10-7 and, the old school run down your throat football days. This one just looked like it fucking sucked.
Well, I've heard, and from everything I've heard, this Super Bowl sucked from top to bottom. Not just the gameplay, but the halftime show was disappointing, especially to some, Miley. But also the commercials sucked. I saw the commercials and I didn't see a single one.